All right, next we have Kurtis Heimerl with Arctic Community Networks, and Kurtis is coming to us from the University of Washington.
Hi, everybody. Next slide. So yeah, I'm Kurtis Heimerl. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Washington, and I largely work on the issue of rural internet access. Turns out about 22% of rural Americans don't have broadband, and 27%, 28%, rounding up, of Americans in tribal areas don't have access to broadband. So this is really the mandate of my group and an issue we've been working on for a long time. Now, this issue is obviously particularly large in Alaska, where many communities simply operate off-grid, and more kind of critical services are moving to the internet. There's no real great answer up there aside from waiting for GCI to show up. And as a bit of my own experience in this is me in one of the glaciers up there. I'm actually from Alaska. Went to Chugiak High School in '02, and then made my way south, regretting those choices since then. Next slide. My group works on a particular idea space for solving this issue, which is community networks. So community networks are basically community operated networks. Like, imagine you don't have to wait for GCI, you can just run your own network. These get to be optimized for local needs, run local services, really trying to do the community style of internet. There's a bunch of examples of these around the world. Wi-Fi.net is the largest with 35,000 nodes. And we run a network here in Seattle, and that I'll talk about a little bit in the next slide. Alaska actually has a wonderful history of similar options. If people have used Aztac up on the North Slope, that's an example of a cooperatively owned cellular network. So the point here is that we can build these things, and we do. Next slide. So my group has deployed these all over the world, in Hawaii, here in Seattle, Tacoma, the Philippines, Indonesia, all over the place. Wherever we find communities who are not being served by traditional telecoms, we can usually find a solution, especially with really exciting low Earth orbit satellite solutions coming out. At the end of the day, we partner with these local communities and do a bunch of training. My students often participate at the Indigenous Connectivity Summit run by the Internet Society and do trainings there to really build capacity so these networks can survive on their own, can be maintained, and can be really owned at the deepest levels. As part of our NNA grant, we've been funded to participate in the deployment of a network through the Internet Society in Ulukhaktok in the Northwest Territories. Now, this has been, of course, slowed by COVID, but is an ongoing project, and that's kind of why I'm here. And the last bit here is, of course, we're just excited to talk to more people with connectivity issues. I'd love to go home. I'd love to hear more from people who have connectivity issues out there and see what kind of solutions we can work together to work on. So thank you.